Well, I love it in slow motion. Just the power of that beak. Blam, blam. You know, it's watching that in slow motion gives you a totally different sort of sense of the power of those birds. I don't think this is a nest, actually. I think this is digging after some carpenter ants or something up there. Wow. So periodically, when I sort of change the food in the suet block feeders, I'll toss the old one down on the ground by the maple tree. I love it. This woodpecker going after it. It's always great to see their tongues spike out for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's when they use that to pierce some ant's body. The thing that amazes me, or I guess really I find interesting, is the way they seem to be looking and studying their environment from a whole lot of different angles, and that's especially true when they're going up and down the tree, as you saw before. We have this spinner toy out on our maple tree, and recently the woodpeckers, the red-bellied woodpeckers at least, have found it. And what they do with those corn kernels, I do not know. But there was a time, or at least one day, when they were plucking off those kernels and flying over the house, and they did it, about once a minute. So they were doing something with those kernels, maybe hiding them somewhere for winter, sticking them away. I don't know. I have any idea. The overexposure on this one I can't do anything about with video settings, so just have to live with it until the next section comes on. Among the stuff you're going to see here in a minute or two, or maybe at least a few seconds, will be a woodpecker pulling off one of those kernels, then dropping it and trying to catch it. And I think that was one of those sort of lucky hits, yeah, here he goes, pretty quick. Missed it. And he's trying to figure out where it went. He's not trying to figure out where it went. Who knows what goes through the mind of a woodpecker? The other thing that you'll notice, or at least, I noticed and was impressed with, is the amount of work that these birds do for whatever energy is contained in one kernel of corn. And this one will take this kernel up somewhere in the tree and poke it down in a place where it's stuck in the bark, and pound and pound and pound on it, pulling out little pieces. I take all this stuff in slow motion. The camera is a Nikon P900. I take it in slow motion simply because you can see stuff in slow motion that you can't see otherwise, and you can go back and study it over and over and over again if you want to. What's going through this bird's brain, looking for exactly the right place to put that kernel of corn? And eventually it finds a spot. Now, what I don't really know is whether this is the same bird that's in the next section that really shows it pounding and pounding and pounding. Presumably those are behaviors that it needs in order to get whatever's energy stored there. Yeah, the video is a little long. It's 11 minutes, but you see things in this video that you wouldn't see normally just watching a red-bellied woodpecker out on the tree. Or you might not see it in a way that you could really appreciate it. You can see from these kinds of behaviors how human beings are able and willing, really, to impose all kinds of our own interpretations on these animals. Particularly purposeful kinds of interpretations. The bird wants to do this. It's trying to do such and such. Well, what the bird's really doing is behaving in a way that it's evolved to behave. And these are, of course, dinosaurs, you know. Every time you see a bird, well, actually, every time you eat a piece of chicken, you're eating a piece of a dinosaur. And this is the section really where the amount of effort involved in getting whatever energy is in that kernel of corn, I just find remarkable. I think that eventually it gets out a great big piece and swallows it down. There you go. I'm not sure you'd want to be an ant or some kind of a tiny little beetle crawling under the bark and be on the receiving end of that. Bill. There you go. One good bite, at least of a size that we can see. Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for sticking with this through the through the whole 11 minutes and some odd. Well, I hope that by now you've seen a red-bellied woodpecker. Oh, there's the red belly. You can get a glimpse of that. Hope that you've seen a red-bellied woodpecker in a way that will alter your sense of what these birds are for the rest of your life. And of course, there comes the advertisement. Feel free to go to my website and click on it and buy all my books. Thanks.